Hey everybody, Will from Studio Zombie 3D here. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Hictop Al13-310. This is a pretty heavy duty printer. Let's get right into it. First thing we're going to do is get everything out of the box. The first thing we have here is the user manual. This has everything we need to get the printer assembled and up and running. Here we have a little clamshell case. This has our little jumper wires as well as our junction boxes and the Allen key wrench. Next we have the extruder assembly and cable. This is a pretty heavy-duty setup. Everything is made out of steel on here. This has a direct drive extruder as well as a volcano hot end. Next we have the touchscreen. These are the support brackets for the back of the Z-axis. And here we have the top rail spool holder as well as the cable holder for the extruder. We also have a 200-gram spool of red PLA filament. It's always nice to get these mini spools instead of just a little bag with a bit of filament. And here we have the linear rails. These are really heavy duty, made out of steel, and they're run by Z-rods. It's also an interesting choice using the telephone style connectors on the cables. All of the rails are the same on the printer, so there's no way you can really mix any of them up. Now we can get this top piece of foam out of the way. Here we have a piece of paper that you can use for leveling, as well as it shows you where to feed through the extruder cable. Earlier models of this printer didn't have this actual little bracket on here. And next we can get the printer base itself out of the box. This is a really heavy printer. It's about 60 pounds. The entire base is made out of steel, as are all the rails, so it's definitely a solid heavy printer. And here we have the base of the printer. Again, this is a really heavy printer. I actually almost dropped it right here. I probably would have broken my foot, but luckily I caught it. Alright, let's get everything laid on the table. Here we have everything laid on the table. There's really not a whole lot to this printer. You have your base, you have your three rails, your top rail, your extruder, your back brackets, and your touchscreen. There's really not a lot to this, so it's really easy to assemble. The first thing we're going to do is go ahead and attach the Z uprights. Again, this is a really heavy part in pieces. You might need a hand with this. I have the printer up on its side to make it a little easier. My SD card ran out of space and I didn't notice, but luckily I caught it and got the second one on film here. Now the upright rails on these are so heavy and sturdy that you use 8 screws to attach them to the bottom, and then you need another 8 screws to hold the brackets on. With a printer this side and this heavy, it's definitely good to have someone give you a hand to hold things while you attach. Once both lights are installed, we can go ahead and install the brackets on the back. Be sure to lay the cable flat so that it fits underneath the bracket. And then using 8 screws, we're going to go ahead and make sure everything's tight and secure. With something this heavy and sturdy, you want to make sure nothing is going to move on you. And then again on the opposite side. Now we can go ahead and install the Z-axis rail. This uses 3 screws on each side to attach to each plate. Be sure the plates are both up to the very top. That way it's level when you install it. Next, we're going to go ahead and attach the extruder hot end assembly. This uses 4 screws to attach to the plate. And the last pieces we need to attach are the filament spool holder on the top. With assembly complete, all we have to do now is make sure all the cables are plugged in. The ports on the back are clearly labeled, but they use an interesting choice of phone-style connectors. Now we can power it up and take a look at the menu. The Hictop has a pretty simple menu. Under control we have our temperature settings, our filament in and out settings. We can home and move the axes, and then we have our manual bed leveling and our auto bed leveling. And then under the settings, we have our fan controls, our language options, where we can turn on and off the filament detector, as well as the power loss resume. And then we have an option for updating firmware. And then finally, our print menu. We're going to go ahead and auto level it next. Once we hit auto level, it's going to probe 25 points. Once it's complete, we're going to go ahead and set the Z offset. The auto leveling takes a little while to complete. Once it's complete, we're going to go ahead and put a piece of paper on the print bed, and then we're going to lower the print head slowly until it starts to catch the paper. All that's left to do is load some filament and start a print. They have a little Bowden tube up top to help guide the filament to the hot end. I actually stopped using it, as I found that when it was moving it from left to right, it would grind the filament a little bit on the extruder. Having it just hanging loose worked just fine for me. And here we have some of the prints. This is an amazing Hulk bus from Eastman. I used red Duramac 3D PLA Plus brick red. I was having a little problem with the Z banding on the lower end of the Z axis on the Hictop at first, but once I tightened up the backlash on them, everything's tightened up and it looked really good. I got a lot of really nice clean prints out of this thing and I was quite happy with the quality. This is at 0.2mm height and at 100mm a second. Next up I have a simple vase print. This is using Aeron Universe Silk PLA Rainbow. I absolutely love this filament and the color of it. And this thing came out absolutely beautiful off of this printer. I just love how it catches and reflects the light. Next I have a Flexi Dragon and stand from Printverse. I used the same filament as the vase, and this came out absolutely amazing. There was a little bit of lining on the stand, but that was due to the extreme overhangs. The dragon itself came out perfect. There was some slight stringing which I could have fixed with some increase in retraction. But I'm super happy with how this print came out. Everything is super clean and the print is really flexible with no binding anywhere. And here I have the dragon itself curled up. You can see some of the slight stringing that I had on it. Really happy with how this print came out, and this rainbow PLA was perfect for this print. And finally, I have a Swamp Thing bust from Eastman. I absolutely love this print. It came out perfect off of this print due to 100mm per second at 0.2mm layers. I'm really happy that this came out. Everything is so clear and crisp on this print. I'm going to be doing a few more prints on this printer just to see how it holds up over time, but I'm really happy with how it's been printing so far. It's a really solid capable printer, but it is really heavy. Alright everybody, that was my setup and review of the Hictop Al13-310. This is literally a solid printer. I'm super happy with the performance of it, and the prints coming off of it have been super clean. Alright everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and check out the Studio Zombie 3D various social media to see what's going on in the studio. See you in the next video.